welcome to another episode of the Your Station One podcast. That's right, folks. We are back, and this time we're going back to the movies, and we are looking at Shazam: Fury of the Gods, the newest feature brought to you by the fine folks at DC. Well, I think this is probably the second or third to last of the old regime at DC. And this is before James Gunn completely comes in, because I still know we have Aquaman, we have Flash coming to us,
and Blue Beetle.
I keep on forgetting about Blue Beetle, even though it's on our schedule. I completely forget about Blue Beetle. It's been under everyone's radar, so I'm going to be very curious to see what it's going to be like and if we're going to enjoy it or not. But we're going to talk about Shazam. No thunder. Okay, good. So far, so good. So it's going to be a ton of fun to talk all about this one tonight. Remember, there will be spoilers. So if you haven't seen it yet, please take a chance to check it out and look at the movie, put us on pause, go run to the movie theater, and then run home and listen to us. It's pretty cool. People have done that, so it's awesome to be able to do that. So if you get a chance, leave us feedback. Feedback at ourstation1.com is always the best way to get in touch with us. Let's say hey to our crew for tonight. We have, of course, Mr. Mike Gordon here.
Howdy. That's my version of Shazam. That gives me power.
Oh, of course. He's the Howdy Meister.
That's my magic word.
Well, I think people have actually referred to you as Captain Howdy in the past.
There you go. See?
So I think so. No lightning bolt on it.
That's
he has a big H on his chest.
That's one term that I'm okay with. They call me other things too, but those are left unsaid.
And from Earth Station DCU, we got Drew here. Hey, Drew.
Shazam!
And he's wearing a Batman t-shirt now. Wow, look at that.
Yep. Oh, sorry. I just came back from the eye doctor, so let me take these off.
Okay. There you go. So he'll look squinty now for a while. I love it. I just got back from the eye doctor. Cute. And of course, Chip Johnson is here.
How we doing?
Good. We're having you on more episodes in the science stuff, dude. You're almost like building your own little seat here for us.
I figure I can keep adding to the station. Eventually, you'll just have to attach. I just have to be a permanent satellite.
The chip side. That's what we should call it.
He is the one of us that dressed for the part.
That's true. He did.
So the only red and yellow lightning I had in the house was the Flash Gordon symbol. So I mean, that's
exactly. So if I wore the Flash t-shirt, it would look, like I'd have to go Bazinga or something like that. So no, we're not going to even do that.
Or worse.
Exactly. So it'll be very interesting to see, mixed reaction to this one. So it's going to be very interesting to see what we all thought of this one. And, Mr. Mike, you ready to take it away?
Absolutely. Before we get into our personal reviews, let's take a look at the box office. Shazam: Fury of the Gods this weekend grossed $30.1 million in the United States and Canada, $34.6 million in other territories, for a worldwide total of $64.7 million. Now, that is below projections. And some people it is the third worst opening of the DCU. The only two that are worse than that are Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman 1984. And of course, those were really severely affected by the pandemic. I still think we're seeing pandemic affected numbers. So, because I think if you look at almost all the other releases that have been out there, they're still pretty low. Outside of a few things like Avatar, which continues to gain, it's still in the top 10. And a couple of other exceptions. I think, generally speaking, the box office is not quite as thriving as it was before the pandemic. Now, that's not the only reason.
Well, it's like
there's a lot of other reasons that probably factor into this as well.
Like you said before, though, it's a different world now than before the pandemic, too. More people are waiting to stream and be
exactly. Like they know that this is probably going to be available in a couple of months.
A couple months. I was going to say it probably more like a month or so. It'll probably be on HBO to be able to watch. And, so.
No, they'll push it out to Hulu or Netflix and sell the rights because, anyway, that's what they're doing with all of them. They're pushing them out to other streaming services.
The The other thing about that too is that, I look at it from a comic book fan perspective or a comic book reader, which is like when the first issue hits the stands, that sells like X amount of money. The second issue, there's always a dip, like 60 or 50%. And so that's about what's happened here. Shazam made, I think the initial Shazam movie made somewhere around 60 or 70, somewhere in there, $1 million on its opening in North America. So it's not quite half. But I do think that and there's online there's a lot of negative things about this movie too. So ranging anywhere from, I think the last DCU movie that we reviewed was Black Adam. And of course that wasn't regarded very highly. So Shazam is trying to come off of that disaster. I think a lot of people just aren't terribly excited about it. I mean, there's even the marketing, everything didn't really seem to say that this was a must see in the theater event.
It wasn't promoted all that well, actually, compared to a lot of the Marvel films or a lot of the earlier DC stuff.
I don't know. I saw a lot of it, but then again, I watched TNT, I watched TBS, I watched the Warner Brothers programming. So, I mean, I saw a lot of it, but I don't know outside of that whether or not, it was marketed that well. But yeah, when I went to opening day on Friday. Well, actually, it opens on Thursday now. Opening days are now Thursday. But I went and saw it on Friday morning. There wasn't a lot of people in the theater. But I do have to give them credit because I did get a comic book at the theater. So thank you, AMC, for that. That's pretty cool. But let's get started then. Let's start with you, Drew. Like, what was your expectations going into this, and overall, were you satisfied?
I didn't have any expectations going into it. I saw a trailer for it, I think.
Did you like the first Shazam movie?
Oh yeah, I love the first Shazam movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I kind of wanted to go into it kind of blind. I didn't want to know much about the movie because I've noticed the more I go into it blind, the better I like the movie. So
there's something to be said for that.
But I loved the movie. What I thought was kind of disappointing was I went and saw it on Friday night also. And I bet there was less than 20 people in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it on the IMAX screen.
Oh wow!
Because
okay.
That's the time I wanted to see it at. That's what screen it was on. So, but yeah, I enjoyed it. So, I actually want to go see it again.
Oh wow, cool.
But I probably won't spend the money to go see it again. I'll probably just wait for it to go on streaming. But
I think that's the other thing too. I mean, I don't remember matinee prices being this pricey before the pandemic. I mean, I saw it like the first showing on Friday morning or Friday afternoon because the theater near me doesn't do morning shows anymore. And it was 30% off, I think, but it was still, I almost paid like $20 for the ticket, which is just crazy. Yeah, I know.
That's crazy.
Chip, what about you? What expectations did you have going in?
About the only.
And did you wear your Shazam shirt when you saw it?
No, actually, we made this after for this.
Oh wow!
Wow! So we're trying to have a little bit of fun with it. And it's easy. My wife can screen print, and this is, if you know anything about screen printing, it's not that hard to throw. Is not the most complicated. But no, the only info I really had on it was I looked at the Rotten Tomatoes more just as a glance at to kind of get an idea of what the vibe was. And that was about the only info. I really liked the first movie. My wife and I really love that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're getting more into this. Basically, I kind of agree with the Rotten Tomatoes. It's still fun. If you liked the first movie and you like Zachary Levi and you like that group dynamic that they had, there's some really good humor in there, but it's not as good as the first one. So that was just sort of my takeaway from it, is it's not as good as the first one, but if you like the humor, you'll enjoy it. You won't hate it.
Yeah. We'll get more into that. Mike, what about you? What was your experience?
Well, I was lukewarm on the first one. I liked the family dynamic. I like Zachary Levi as Shazam, and I'm not a huge fan of the New 52 Captain Marvel / Shazam. I was more of the Golden Age, Silver Age fan, where Billy was more confident. Billy had the wisdom of Solomon. He had, he wasn't always like a little kid, wishy-washy and angsting the whole time. And I said that I went back and listened to the review we did on the original, and pretty much I said the same thing back then. And even more so, it was worse for me in that case, that I was like rolling my eyes at some of the characterizations in this, and it was just ridiculous, some of it. And there was times, I was like, should I break out my phone and just like play Words with Friends or SimCity instead of watching the movie? Because that's, some of it was just ridiculous. There were some characters I really liked in this, and we'll get into that. And there were some moments I was just like, okay, this is awesome, this is great. But then there were other moments where it was ridiculous. And so for a
Wow, so
superhero movie,
we got a really big range here. So that's pretty cool. That's good, because we don't usually get that. Usually we're more or less on a similar page. But with this one, I saw a trailer or two before the movie, so I knew some things, I knew who the bad guys were. I knew that Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren were in it. And I thought that was a bold choice. You don't usually see action or superhero movies where the villain is, played by, let's say, older women, right? Like they're just like, a big strong guy versus older women, and that was, I thought they worked well with that. Actually, they dealt well with that. And I like some of that. I towards the end of the marketing campaign, right before the movie, they spoiled the cameo, the big cameo that's in the movie, and I tried really hard not to avoid that, so I'd be surprised.
Our friends over at Funko Pop spoiled it about 3 months ago when they released the figures, and they showed on the back that Wonder Woman was on it.
And it was like the night before I saw someone post about it, and I was like, damn it. Like I just could have waited 24 hours. But I do want to talk about that cameo as well. So for sure. But let's get started with the movie. I will say, okay, so when it opens, we have them, the family together as a unit, addresses a broken bridge. We don't really know why it's breaking, do we? It's just a natural phenomenon.
It's just
right?
a natural.
It's not a bad guy or anything.
No, there was an accident on the
car wreck.
Gotcha.
A truck crashed into it, and
but it wasn't like anything from a bad guy. It was just something that happened, accident, right? So, but I got to tell you that I was really moved during that whole sequence, from the moment like the kids are all together and they are walking towards the camera, they say Shazam, and boom, there's smoke, and out comes the Marvel family. I thought, I got like chills out of that. That was really cool. And then when I saw the bridge and they're all flying around doing things, I thought that was amazing. Like I don't think I'd seen that before in any superhero movie. It just looked like, here's a family of superpowered beings like addressing this problem. I was with it there, and I thought this could be an incredible experience. But then the plot happens, and the bad guys get introduced and everything, and it kind of bogs down a bit. And I had forgotten actually that the character, I'm not going to blame the actor, but the character of Freddie Freeman from the first movie, Mac, you can confirm this because you listened to it, our original interview, but our review. But I just found him extremely annoying. Like I just could not, like, it was too much, too fast, too many jokes that didn't hit. And I just wasn't, I was like, man, they need to cut like half his dialogue because it's not working for me. And so that really bogged the movie down. There were some other moments that I liked about the movie, some other things that happened, but overall, it was kind of, I think I'd give it like 3 out of 5 stars. It was not horrible, but certainly, like, compared to Black Adam, it's better than Black Adam. And it's well, in my opinion, it's better than Black Adam.
I'll let you decide that.
And it's a nice family movie. Outside of a few things, I mean, this is a great family movie, and I like that too. Drew, what's something else about the movie that you liked?
I guess I liked a lot of the humor that was in the movie. I noticed I was laughing throughout the movie at different things. I thought well, one of the things that surprised me was we got the Wonder Woman cameo in the middle of the movie, and
Wow,
we didn't
Wonder
see her
Woman cameo.
face, and I was like, because I knew for whatever reason through DC News or whatever, I'd heard that Wonder Woman was supposed to be in the movie, and when we got to that point where they're not showing her face, I was like, "This is the kid. We're gonna get the Superman cameo again," and I was kind of disappointed by that. And then when the wizard's face showed up on her body, I just died laughing. I just thought it was freaking hilarious. And then realizing that it was Billy's dream, it was just hilarious. So I thought I had a lot of hilarious moments, and I love the wizard in it. The wizard had some funny moments with the characters, and I guess I found Freddy less annoying than you guys, because I kind of liked the focus on Freddy, and seeing how he was still getting bullied at school and how he dealt with it. And I kind of liked his relationship with the one goddess. I forget what her name was.
Anthea.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I found that interesting too.
Okay.
So I did enjoy some moments throughout the movie.
Ah.
And I really loved Wonder Woman's cameo at the end.
Yes. Yeah.
Where they
right.
where they blasted the theme, because if you didn't realize who it was.
I love that theme.
I love that theme. That theme gives me chills. That theme, I get emotional when I hear that theme. And I give Hans Zimmer all the credit in the world, because when that theme hit in Batman v Superman, and I knew we were getting Wonder Woman along with it, it just, I was more excited than I had been in a long time for anything on the screen. And every time that theme hits, it triggers me, and I feel the same way. It's sort of like the opening scroll of a Star Wars movie with the bang, like the John Williams score and everything. Like, it just like that. It has that effect on me. And that's a good cue. That's a good music cue. Not too many other superheroes have that kind of music cue. At least not recently. For Superman and Batman, they have to use the old ones from the 80s and 70s or whatever, to get people's reaction. So I appreciated that as well. But Chip, what is something else you liked about the movie?
Well, I think I'm gonna go ahead and agree with you that I didn't really like the Freddie Freeman jokes. I thought they gave him the awkward teen thing a little bit too much, but I did love some of the jokes that the other family got. Like, we referenced the eye doctor bit at the beginning of this with her sitting, and I met people that were my age. I thought she got some really good lines of being the only one who is literally the same age as her superhero identity, so it kind of works. And of course, I can't go this podcast without mentioning Taste the Rainbow, Mother.
Oh, that was awesome.
The
was one of my
9-year-old
favorite
girl
parts.
on the unicorn yelling as she mows down the monsters. I have to admit, had me howling with laughter, because that was such a great bit.
Wow. Yeah.
So
That I will say did not work for me. The Skittles commercial embedded in the movie did not work for me. So, yeah, that didn't that didn't play out well, but I did like a lot of other parts about that finale. So we'll talk about that in a bit. Mike, is there something else that you liked about the movie?
I loved seeing Atlanta in the background at the parking garage the whole time, and it was, that was pretty darn awesome. Um, I did like I liked the character of Freddy a lot. I liked how he stood up to the bullies and he took the punches and everything, but he was still stood up to them. And I thought that was pretty darn awesome. I also liked the character of Mary. I loved what they did with her. And, because, she felt trapped. And I liked, seeing how she grew in this. And I also liked the parents. I thought the whole thing with the family was great and everything. I liked the different characters, and I liked when they went, "We're superheroes. I'm gay," and and everyone was like, "We know," and it was just awesome, and it's all understanding, and that part I loved. That part I loved. I think that was one of the best things I think they did with the New 52 and the Shazam legacy was bring in the family aspect of it more. And the humor I thought was a little too much, and we'll get more into that, things we didn't like and everything. I did like the casting of the villains were great, and I love Helen Mirren. Lucy Liu, I've never been a huge fan of, but she was okay. And I liked the third one too, and she was great because she was kind of reluctant. She didn't really want to hurt the humans and everything. And I thought that was pretty cool. The wizard was awesome. The wizard, I think, was one of my favorite parts in the movie. And so it was interesting to see. And, I think overall, you know, it was a superhero movie. And I didn't expect it to be, Shakespeare, or I didn't expect it to be, you know, you know, well, I would say Christopher Nolan, but he did superhero movies. So, there we go. So, but yeah, so
So you're saying a superhero movie can't be a great movie? Is that what you're saying?
no, I never said that.
But you don't expect it.
I don't expect it. I don't expect much from a superhero movie anymore at all.
Wow.
After going from Black Adam to Quantum Mania to this, I don't have much high hopes for a lot of superhero movies and such. I'm not expecting much from Flash. I'm not expecting much from
Even
Guardians of
though
the
Tom
Galaxy.
Cruise says it's the movie that we need right now.
This is the man who gave us Top Gun, so I'm not saying
Exactly.
anything else.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
I fell asleep during it, so it's cool. So there.
Yeah, I like the family dynamic. I think that's the strength of the Shazam movies is the family dynamic. There's a lot of characters to work with. It's almost too much, you know. So some characters get the spotlight more than others, which is kind of a shame because you don't have time to really delve into everybody and give everybody some depth. But that's okay. The family, you still feel it, and the parents getting the parents involved with the superheroes was great too. I like that. And yeah, I thought the three daughters of Atlas worked for me. I don't think, well, at least I don't know of that's been done in the comics at all. So I don't know
No.
if this is completely an original. Yeah, I haven't read the recently Shazam books, so I don't know about that. But to me, I thought it was, as a mythology fan, I did appreciate that use. It was certainly better than Wonder Woman's last villain in her last movie. So I like that a lot. And I like the performances. Rachel Zelger as the Anne or Anthea. And then, of course, Lucy Liu, who I've always liked, and Helen Mirren, who I think is one of the best actresses around. So they were obviously having fun chewing scenery. At least Lucy and Helen were. I don't think Rachel's quite there yet, but her role was not really to ham it up. It was to be a love interest for Freddie. And I've already said that Freddie didn't work for me. So out of all the kids, he was the one that I thought was the weakest link. And unfortunately, I think he had the most screen time. I think he had more screen time than Billy, at least regular Billy. I mean, the first movie had more of a balance between Billy and Shazam. This one is pretty much, we see like Billy for like 5 minutes total, I think, in the movie, and the rest of the time it's Shazam. So good or bad, Drew, what's something else about the movie that struck you?
One of the things I didn't care for was it felt like the kids aged up too much. And I think that's part of the reason why Billy wasn't on screen that much. They focused more on Freddy. Darla's character, she looked a lot older than she was acting, especially her superhero character.
Huh.
So at least that's what it felt like to me. I love
Well,
the family dynamic, though.
it was supposed to be, I think, 2 years since the last movie was the timeline they said. So the characters had to age a little bit. So
My understanding is, and they've never really said this, which is, I don't think, maybe in the first movie they do, but my understanding is that these kids, as they get older, will grow into their superhero avatars. That's what they look like as adults. Because certainly that's true of Mary, right? Like she doesn't change at all,
Yeah,
except the outfit, right?
That's right out of the comics too. We just had a miniseries called what was it called? The new champion of Shazam.
right.
Where
Okay.
Billy's been trapped at the Rock of Eternity, and Mary kind of took the role as the champion. She had her own miniseries. She even went off to college, but when her parents were abducted, she had to come back home. So pretty good miniseries. It was written by Josie Campbell, and it was illustrated by Evan Doc Shaner. So it was really good as a 4-part series.
They've done a lot with Mary. I know that in that series 52 that they did, it was pretty impressive that how they used her, and she turned heel, and that was really an interesting turn for her. And I appreciated that a lot. I don't find her as compelling in this. Don't get me wrong, Grace Caroline like looks amazing. And she would look very cool in a black Mary Marvel outfit with the lightning bolt as well. But I don't see her as a character or even as an actress being able to pull off the heel role if they wanted to go that way, if they were doing this further, which we'll talk about whether or not that we want that to happen later on. But Chip, what's something else about the movie that you either liked or didn't like?
Well, one thing that I kind of noticed, I don't know if it's a like or a dislike, but it's from a non-story perspective, but almost a thematic perspective. I remember we left the theater, I told my wife, I was like, you could almost do a paper on the comedy rule of 3 based on every joke in this movie. Almost every joke has a very clear, it's almost, because normally, okay, so movie, screen theory, comedy setup is in film with a joke, there's setup, reminder, payoff. So a perfect example from this movie is we get the setup with the Skittles, where we talk about Darla put them in Mary's pants, and when they go through the wash, they get stained. We get the reminder when she brings the Skittles out to give to the older daughter of Atlas when they have her prisoner, and the payoff of the joke is the unicorn bit. There are like 5 in this movie that are the most obvious setup, reminder, payoff that I've seen in a movie since, I don't know, since like they tried to do it in Suicide Squad. But it's just so, I don't know why, but it just stuck to my brain. Like I could see it. Okay, here's the joke coming. We know this one's and I'm trying to think of it, like there was the Freddy joke about his name. I'm trying to think, there was another one. There was
That like the name thing is something that I think, people who are familiar with Captain Marvel and the history and everything find annoying, and people who don't know about it don't care. So like for me, that's something that I'm like, why are you bringing this up? Like you don't like the fact that he doesn't have a name. I'm like, that's only works for people who are in on the joke. But if you're not in on the joke, then you're just going, what is this all about? It just, I think it falls flat either way. And so when he finally says, like, at the end, like, you know, what is my name, and your name is Shazam, right? Whatever. It just, it should be like dun dun, but it's just like wah, wah.
Well, I had a bit of an issue with that, and with this whole movie treating them for like 60% of the movie, the heroes are a joke. Like, there's the bridge scene,
yeah.
and they make a point of, okay, now we've got to save
The
this
Philly
bridge.
fiasco.
The brills, and
Yep.
I'm just like, okay, you know, you can make them not the Justice League without making them a joke. Like, there's a line there where it kind of ruins it kind of hurts the setup of the big ending fight scene if we spent the last, you know, hour and a half of this movie with Freddy and all of them being treated like blithering idiots. You know, it can kind of undercut that, like, okay, he is this guy, he's ready to do this fight, you know, instead of making you feel like, yeah, give the wizard the staff back. Just give the man the staff. Let him do it, because you clearly can't fix Ray. You couldn't catch water if he fell out of a boat.
No, exactly. I agree with that.
I had a bit of a problem with that kind of being a thing. But that was, which the staff is another rule of three. The mind powers, where she makes him rebuild the staff, the dragon, and then the big reveal at the end, the bit at the end where he resists the fear.
Yeah.
That was another one.
And there was a lot of like back and forth with certain things, that it just seemed like they were going like back and forth without really doing any fighting. And you know, you can only do so much fighting when, you know, your hero is a, you know, young strong male versus two like older women. Like, I thought when they do finally really fight, I thought that worked pretty well. And I liked how that played out, but I must admit I was wondering, like, how are they going to do this? Like, because it doesn't make any sense. And then at the end, he's basically fighting the dragon, right? So it's not like you know, he's coming to blows with Lucy's character like one-on-one.
I did, you know, one of the things I did like with the two villains, I loved the scene at the very beginning when they got the staff in the museum. That was really, really well done. And, you know, them whispering into the ear and mind controlling the people, and then turning them all to stone or dust. And it was just awesome. That whole scene was so very well. That was actually one of my favorite parts. And I was like, okay, I've got hopes for this. This is going to be good. And then it was just interesting. And I thought that's when they were at their most menacing in a lot of ways. And it was, you know, towards the end, you know, when, you know, Lucy Liu's character turned against everybody and, you know, went on, you know, the crazy train, it was, you know, it was predictable. And, you know, and then Shazam, or Billy's battle at the end, was mostly with the dragon, not really with her. And so it was interesting. And Judy, you know, when they did the dome over Philadelphia, she says, wasn't that in the Simpsons movie? So it was just like, you know, yeah, kind of, sort of. So
Simpsons did it
a lot better.
Wow. I agree with a lot of that too, but there's some things that like had promise. Like, I did like, as Mike said, I did like the way that the powers were differentiated with each of the sisters. I like the dynamic between the sisters, although, you know, I think Anne's betrayal was predictable, and yet it didn't make any sense for them to do it. Like, why did she need to infiltrate the high school? Like, it just didn't seem like it was necessary. It seemed like a weird thing. It was just set up so that she could betray Freddy, and that could be a thing. So there's some kind of sloppy storytelling there.
Oh, poor Deirdre Bader too. Oh, poor Deirdre Bader.
Yeah, there are some people that like really get killed in this, and they kind of just like breeze over it. So for a family movie, that was kind of unsettling. But But yeah, and Chip, to your point, I do think that, you know, they were treated like a joke, and that hurt them. They didn't need to go that far. The fact that they were called the Philly Fiascos, I didn't think was absolutely necessary, especially when you know, you see at the end they've turned around and the people of Philly are cheering them, and yet you're kind of like, yeah, but you guys don't know that they're responsible for all of this, and that all the monsters, all the people that, like, there are people that are dead. Because when the monsters, and I thought the monsters were very cool, all mythical creatures from the past, like that was really well done, and they were scary. That's why I didn't appreciate them getting taken out by the unicorns. So I thought it was like, just, they were so menacing, and like I said, people were getting killed. I don't know what the death toll was, but I'm like, you know, if you guys look into this media wise, you'll find out that the Marvel family is responsible for this whole thing. And you know, I mean, they deal with it the best they can, but that's like the big blunder. So I thought that was weird. And the Billy dying scene, I wish it worked for me, but I didn't buy it for a second. And, you know, it's kind of like, don't do this unless you make me want to think that he's really dead. You know, I mean, they were standing over his grave, and I was kind of like, maybe for a second, I was like, is this really happening? But then once I heard, you know, that Wonder Woman theme, I was like, okay, well, this makes no sense, but, you know, at least it adds somebody really cool to this movie. But Chip, I think you didn't like that. You were kind of shaking your head when we mentioned Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman appearing in the movie. Is that something that didn't work for you?
It felt very, and I know I'm using this phrase intentionally, ironically, it felt very Deus Ex Machina. It felt very much like, because what it actually is, I looked this up because I remember, again, sitting in the theater going, that feels like it was written for Black Adam. That scene felt like it was supposed to have Black Adam, and they have confirmed that Dwayne Johnson was supposed to cameo in this movie and backed out. For whatever reason, he didn't want a cameo. So that scene to me, when I remember watching it, is like, because the line that she says is not all the power, and it felt like that was supposed to be Black Adam's line, and that was their way of bringing him in, like they set up in the first movie, that he was going to join with this group. That also makes sense why they had the JSA pickup at the end with the stinger. So if it had been Black Adam, that whole scene kind of thematically makes more of a sense of like, okay, they're tying him into the JSA side of this. It felt very kind of, again, random. It felt like, why? And again, it felt like it's because felt like they lost Black Adam and were like, okay, well, we've got this scene where he's dreaming about Wonder Woman, and we've already made the joke with the wizard. Okay, we'll put another scene in where he's talking about Wonder Woman so that we can have the payoff of her showing up at the end, and it doesn't.
And she's got that mythology background. She's got that Greek god background. So, I mean, it's not like they're just popping in like the Flash or Superman or anything, right? Or Hawkman, you know. Okay, so yeah, that's interesting, because that's a great point too, because I think I saw a comment online that I thought was really interesting, and it said DC really messed up by having two Shazam movies that stood on their own and having a Black Adam movie that stood on its own. Like, instead of like half and half, they should have incorporated both together, and it would have been a better experience for everybody. And I think I agree with that. I mean, it's not you know, obviously it depends on how it's written and everything like that, but I think separating Black Adam from the Shazam mythos was a big mistake. I just couldn't figure out why they wanted to do it. And I blame Dwayne and the heads of WB for going along with it, because I think that he didn't have any intention to be part of Shazam.
I agree with that. No.
And so I think that unfortunately, you know, I think that scene would have worked a lot better, to Chip's point, if it had been Black Adam, because we would have been like, oh, well, they have the same, their powers come from the same place, kind of, so that makes sense. But yeah, they didn't do that. So before we start talking about like afterwards, like let's talk about the cut scenes or the credit scenes. There's two of them. Drew, did you enjoy those?
Uh, the first one we had with the characters from Peacemaker, it looked like they were setting up, you know, looked like they were trying to set up a Justice Society, possibly, but I think that's not going to happen anymore, of course, because of all the changes. But it's still, it's still a possibility because those are characters from what's his face? What's his
James
name's
Gunn.
characters?
Peacemaker.
Well, he's
Yeah.
James. He's also
James Gunn. Thank you.
James Gunn. Yeah.
James Gunn's character. So it's still a possibility that he may want to do a Justice Society. So we'll see.
Mhm.
The second cameo didn't do anything for me.
The
Originally
Mark
when I saw the first Shazam movie and we had the cameo with Mr. Mind at the end, I thought maybe he was going to be the villain of this movie, and that didn't happen. And then the joke with him leaving again just didn't land for me.
Yeah, it was like, let's do this again like we did in the first one, but Mr. Mind's just not ready yet. And it's like, damn, I want to see that movie, and I don't know if we ever will. Chip, what did you think about the 2 credit scenes?
I'm gonna kind of agree with Drew. The JSA one felt like a setup. It feels like they're trying to, and there's more good to it because it feels like James Gunn in a way, because they were also in Black Adam. It feels like James Gunn almost is trying to set up them as sort of the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the Agent Coulson characters that are going to pop up. And so that actually, the fact that he's using those characters does make it more likely that movie might still get made, just because those are his people, and might end up with an HBO Max series or something, because I think Zachary Levi is not so big that you couldn't get him on an HBO Max series to do a Shazam series, and it would be kind of funny to watch him play off of the JSA characters from Black Adam. The second one, again, kind of didn't really do anything for me, and felt almost like I'm trying to think of another stinger that's kind of done it, but it felt very poke in the eye. It was like, oh yeah, you all wanted this to be Mr. Mind. Well, remember, Mr. Mind's a worm. Remember, he can't go very fast, so that's why we didn't do that in this movie. And it felt very like, okay, well, why are you that's not a really good joke way of kind of acknowledging that you didn't do this movie, and then just kind of going, hey, we didn't do this movie, and here's a really kind of bad joke about why we didn't do that movie. It just kind of felt flat. Like, it was like, okay.
Mike?
What they said overall, I thought both fell flat pretty much. I thought, the whole thing, why would, if Billy wasn't sure who was going to be there, and he was just hanging out there using his lightning powers to, break bottles and stuff like that. It didn't make sense and everything. And it's like, because they were like, don't make too much noise, you don't want to scare them away or whatever, and it just really, really didn't make sense. And then it was good to see the characters. I like those characters from Peacemaker, and also from Suicide Squad, and I agree completely that they're being used like the Agent Coulson, that they're going to be the the people who go between the different projects and such, working for Waller, and because they've always said, we said it when we reviewed Black Adam, that Waller has her fingers in everything, with the Justice Society, with Superman, with all these different DC characters. Now she's going to get her clutches on Shazam. So that, I could deal with, but the way they did it was it was dumb. And and then the final scene with Mark Strong as Savannah and Mr. Mind, I was like, I stayed to the end of the credits for that, pretty much. And by the time that came on anyway, I think a good 75% of the audience left because they thought the other one was the final one. So, and it was just like, no, it wasn't worth staying for.
Unfortunately, both have the appearance that this Shazam franchise is going to continue, and that is severely under question. Even before the movie came out, a lot of people were thinking, people in the know were thinking that this is, and even some people who don't really keep track of this sort of thing, I mean, it made the news that, James Gunn and I can't remember the other guy's name, sorry, but we're gonna, reboot everything, which is kind of true, not entirely. I mean, they said that they have plans for a DC universe, but they also said they are allowing certain projects to come out as under the DCEU like name, and so I don't know, and they'll just be clearly like quote unquote Elseworld stories, or I think Black Label is what the comics call them now. So they said, I think when they were asked about it at the premiere, they said, we'll just have to see how well this one does before we make a determination on whether or not it's, and now, we'll see what it's like when it goes to home and streaming, if it gets new life there, because it is family viewing. So I could see where maybe it has some life to it. And James Gunn and his competitors are really good friends with Zachary Levi. So and Zachary has even made like TikTok videos backing up whatever James Gunn is saying, like, when he gets criticism or whatever. So they're pretty tight. So I would think that, Zachary's kind of like in there going, hey, I know he's got ideas for a third one. So I wouldn't rule out completely that this franchise is dead. Let me ask you this as our final question on this review. Drew, do you want to see more Shazam?
Yeah, I want to see more Shazam. I'm just concerned that there's not going to be any more.
Well, I mean, down the road there could be new Shazam, just like completely rebooted, right?
That's very
Would you want to see
possible.
that?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. And I also know that DC's putting out a new Shazam series written by Mark Waid later this year. So
wow.
I'm excited about that.
For the comics, yeah. That sounds like a good, I mean, Mark Waid, you can't go wrong there.
So he's been doing a great job on the World's Finest with the classic feel of those characters. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do for Shazam.
Yeah, me too. Chip, what about you? Where do you stand on more Shazam?
I actually feel like I actually would trust more Shazam under Gunn, just because you can kind of look at what he's done with Guardians. He's much better at doing team movies. The Suicide Squad and Guardians are good movies that he managed to give everybody their own beat. And I like his humor. He's better. I think he's got better comedic timing than we kind of saw in a lot of the jokes in this movie. So I feel like I actually would trust more, almost letting Gunn kind of having more reins on that, and he'd probably be able to tone down some of that issues that I have with this movie. So I'd love to see him
under if it's under Gunn's purview, though. Does that mean that you want him to either be hands-on or you want this version of Shazam to continue?
I want this version of Shazam to continue, but I feel like Gunn could do kind of like he did with Suicide Squad, and he could make the sequel to this or have more control over it. And I feel like that he could play that tone a lot better than use what he does with Guardians, do what he does with the other movies he's had teams. I feel like if you had Gunn's more control over this, a lot of the issues that we seem to have had with the humor and a lot of the issues that with the tone would get much more streamlined. Because give Gunn credit, he's very good at picking a tone for a movie and sticking with that tone throughout the entire movie. His movies don't yo-yo around. Which
he's also really good at character development when there's a lot of characters at play.
Yeah.
And nobody feels like they get like short shifted, like everybody seems like they have at least moments where they're, like all the Guardians, all the Suicide Squad, like they all have their moments that stand out. So he handles a big cast like that pretty well too. Mike, what about you? Do you want to see more Shazam?
I would love to see more Shazam, but I would, like you guys have said it, I want to see it under James Gunn. I don't want to see it under this regime. I think it needs a different tone a bit, and I think it needs to just refocus in a better direction. I would love to see a Shazam family movie. I don't mind the bigger characters and the different family members, but I just don't, if it's going to be by these people who did it this time, no, I won't go back to see it and everything. And, I have Shazam, I have books on him. I have trades. I have, I have Golden Age stuff. I have Silver Age stuff, and even stuff all the way through the Bronze, and when Jerry Ordway did it and stuff. And
Power of Shazam.
it was awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. But if it's this version of it, no. But I would like to see a new version. And
Does that mean like
I
the
wouldn't
whole
mind.
cast?
I love the cast.
Okay.
I would like to see Zachary continue as Shazam. I love the actress they have as Mary now. I like, Freddie. I liked all of them. I thought it was really well done. And that's, whenever I read the comics, I picture them this way now and everything. So it's pretty cool.
I think, a third one, it would be pushing it because the kids are getting older. And so they would be matching their adult counterparts pretty quickly. Like the separation, the age separation of them would be pretty apparent, I think, if they wait too long to do another one of these. I don't know. I mean, if they do another one, I'll see it. If it's executive produced and he's a consultant or overseeing the production, James Gunn, just him like pointing to a script and going, let's change that, or let's lose that, or let's do this, that would be enough to like tweak it so that this would be a really good franchise. Where it fits with everything else, I have no idea, but I leave that up to them to work out, because I'm not really interested in like hard like continuity in that way or anything like that. So but I will say, go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
What? Sorry, no. I want to add into that just a little bit. What worries me, though, especially the way they ended it about him joining a Justice Society. I don't want to see him coming into the Shazam coming into the Justice Society and being the comic relief, because he's up there with Superman power wise and everything. So, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see it. Oh, he's going to be, the one making all the jokes and all the, getting hit all the time and thrown into buildings and stuff like that. I want to see, I want to see.
He is the kid.
Serious.
I mean,
Yeah.
unless they can explain that really poor plot point that they point out, like, why doesn't he have the power, like the power of Solomon or the wisdom of Solomon? We don't know. We never get an answer to that. They ask that question, but we don't know. And that's kind of lacking. And I think that alone would make a difference in writing him. So that would be interesting. But I did get a little sad because I thought to myself after I got out of the theater, I was like, oh man, is that going to be the last time I see Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman? But then I found out she's in the Flash movie. So this won't be the last time, maybe the second to last. I don't know, but I'm holding on to that casting as long as I can, because I do appreciate seeing Gal in this anytime actually. So all right, so that's our review of Shazam: Fury of the Gods. We were across the board, so that was pretty interesting. So go see it for yourself if you haven't already, and let us know what you think. And then we'll be right back to close out the show.
Wait for streaming. All right, this is the part where we do our little bit for YouTube. Wanted to, thank everyone for following us and watching us. We got some new subscribers over the last few weeks, so thank you, and everyone who is supporting us and subscribing, giving us thumbs up. It's the best way to do it, folks, and we do appreciate you guys. All right, guys, the question I have for our crew here tonight: we have Blue Beetle coming up, we have Flash, we have Aquaman, and we've heard James Gunn mention some of the other films that in projects, but he says that's just a fraction of what he has planned. What other DC characters would you want to see on the big screen, series wise?
Does it have to be a series or a movie?
It could be either or.
Legion of Superheroes TV series.
Oh God, yes.
With an HBO Max budget, not CW Legion of Superheroes on HBO Max. Give them HBO, give them Peacemaker's budget, and give me a Legion of Superheroes TV show. I feel like would be a lot of fun.
I agree. That was one of mine actually. So,
Drew, you must have talked about this. What are you and Cleus thinking about? What would you like to see as a DC movie that they haven't done yet?
I'm excited about a lot of the projects they've announced. I'm excited about the Booster Gold project. So real excited about that, especially if they bring in Ted Cord, Blue Beetle. So
yep,
that'd be interesting. And I'm curious if they're going to show in the new Blue Beetle movie, if Ted's going to make an appearance in it. So
that would be awesome. It would be cool if they use the same actor too. If Ted's in like the Blue Beetle movie, and then use him in the Booster Gold.
Yeah, I agree. That would be awesome.
And actually, it would then play off into what Chip said, that wouldn't it be kind of cool, actually, out of the Booster Gold, since he's a time traveler, have the Legion of Superheroes spin out of that. And
that would be awesome too.
So I think that's possibilities. So
we've got a version of Rip Hunter, which kind of did that. We've had versions of Blue Beetle and versions of Booster. I think we've had at least 2 versions of Booster, right? Live action. One on Smallville and one on
Legends of Tomorrow.
We got him at the end of Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah. So at least 2. Man, I don't know. I think there's a lot of possibilities, obviously. And they pretty much, I mean, the Bat Family is where most of my passion for DC comes from, but they've really done the Bat Family like almost to death. Like there's not really a character that they haven't done at least one version of, if not like a billion. So I would like to see, some really cool things come out of the Batman. It'll be really interesting to see what James Gunn's Batman is going to be like, especially when you compare it to, because we're going to have Matt Reeves's Batman movies going on at the same time. So, and I like that movie a lot. That was a good start to whatever he's going to do trilogy wise, whatever. That's pretty awesome. But I'm really curious about, he's announced that Batman will be in his vision of what the DCU is doing, but what that looks like and all of that, Batman and Robin, I think he said, right?
You're going to get Damian Wayne, actually.
Yeah. So that, that would be pretty cool. I think I'm eager to see that.
That's cool. Any other characters?
Oh man. I mean, Ambush Bug.
I would love to,
James Gunn, I trust with Ambush Bug.
I would love to see an anime version of Ambush Bug, like animated. Wouldn't that be awesome? And tying into the DC, like him going throughout the DCU and everything. Because I used to love
their version of what was the Marvel TV show, the cartoon, Multiverse.
The What If.
The What If. It's like do their version of What If with Ambush Bug jumping between the various worlds, so they can do all the other Elseworld stuff.
That would be awesome and everything. But even I would love it if they did it in Keith Giffen's art style, even, which would be awesome. And because it was his art style was very anime anyway, especially towards the end when he did like the second miniseries of the Ambush Bug. And I loved originally they introduced him as a serious character, and then because he appeared in DC Comics Presents, I think, with the Doom Patrol. I think was the first. It was Superman and the New Doom Patrol, and Ambush Bug was the villain in it, which was awesome. And then from there on, it was all haha laughs and everything. So it was pretty cool. Because I think one of the DC Comics Presents that they did it was Ambush Bug and the Legion of Substitute Heroes. Sorry, Darren. So it's actually pretty cool. Ambush Bug would be kind of fun to see. I would love to see like a Manhunter series would be kind of cool, which would be get into that kind of side of the DCU.
With Nanda Parbat and all that.
Exactly. I think that could be kind of fun. But if maybe there's already talk of them doing a Deathstroke series. So
right. Yeah, there's been talk of that. I mean, we've gotten what, 2, 3 versions of him?
Three versions of him so far. So
2 on the same show, I think.
Details. But yeah,
There's
they're-
very few. It's amazing to me. We're sitting here now, and it's amazing to me how many DC characters actually have been done in live action at this point with the CW and everything that has been in the movies and all that over the last decade or so. It's really been like, oh my God, I never thought I'd see all these characters come to life in some form. And some have been awesome, some have been disappointing, some have been meh. So you know, if you pull up the DC's Who's Who, which I still have my original issues of, you know, you'll find almost on every page like somebody has done like this already, and that's pretty cool. Like I mean, that's just amazing to me. Same thing with Marvel, really, but it's just amazing to me how many characters they've done.
Oh, very much so. Between, you know, the last decade has been, you know, a comic lover's dream, seeing all these characters come to life, and either, you know, big screen or on TV. You know, if you would have told me, you know, 10 years ago, we're going to see the Justice Society in 2 different versions of them, you know, I'd be like, please. And then you got to see Jay Garrick with the hat and like the steel hat and everything. It was just like Geek City for me, because I was such a Justice Society fan. And, you know, because what they did with them in the Flash, and then what they've done with the Justice Society and Stargirl, and then Black Adam. Oh well, nothing's perfect, but
They
it was
were
still
in
fun.
Smallville too.
Yes, that's true. They were. So you had 3 versions of them. Ha, 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 ha. So
Well, the Legends came across a version 2, so yeah.
4.
So yeah, there's 4.
Because there's been 3 versions of Stargirl on the screen.
Yeah.
So, well, has
Isn't
she
that
popped up?
insane? And
Yeah.
that is insane. Like, think about that. Like 3 versions. We've had Stargirl like in live action 3 times. I mean, who would have thought that would have happened?
Mhm.
Of course, you know, Jeff Johns is like, yeah, I'm running things, so I'm going to put her in everything.
Yeah, of course. I would love to see. Actually,
So I get paid.
I would love to see a Jack Knight Starman series.
Ooh. Like do it full noir, full like
Exactly.
ooh.
But then I know Mike Gordon would love to see a Sandman Mystery Theater.
I would. Yeah.
Especially if Matt Wagner wrote it.
Yeah, if they had Matt and involved, sure, but yeah, I love that series. I don't think it gets nearly enough due. It's never been entirely collected, which I think is a shame. And yeah, that's my version of the Sandman. I know that there's not the original, and there's, you know, whatever, but that's my Sandman, and I think it works, and I think it works really well. Just look at what they do with Perry Mason on HBO. It'd be kind of similar. It'd be really cool, I think.
Very much so. I agree with
Talk
that.
about dripping with noir.
Oh yeah, very much so. Just this guy puts on a gas mask and knocks out people. Yeah. So, which would be kind of cool. Drew, you've been kind of quiet, and you're the DC guy.
Yeah, well, there's lots of stuff I could see. I would love to have a Batman television series with the Bat family. That would be my dream project. I don't think it would ever happen though, because the Batman rights have been tied up for television, which is why I don't think we've seen one since the 60s. So, but I would love to see a Batman television series. They've done so many things without having him appear.
Yeah, I know, right?
Probably the closest we've had is the one in the season 3 of Titans. So
True.
Yeah. Bruce is in Titans. I think from the very first season he's there, and he has a presence. And you're right. Yeah. The other ones, like he's always missing, whether it was Birds of Prey or this new series Gotham Knights or whatever. Like they just have to find excuses for Gotham. It's him as a kid, you know. It's like there's all these Batman adjacent things, but yeah, they've never really done it. But then again, you know, the animated series did it so well, you know, why it's not even necessary to do it in live action, really.
Nope. Agreed. Agreed. So I think it could be very interesting to see where we can come up with and what they'll do. You know, it's not going to seem like it's going to be slowing down anytime soon. So it should be kind of cool to see what we're going to get. So definitely at home, YouTube folks, what would you guys like to see for a DC show? Have we missed any? You know, would be awesome to see. I would just love to see Constantine done right would be really awesome.
You talk about the Sandman noir series, have him be a recurring character. Get Matt Ryan to come in and do dark series Constantine of like post, or just the completely different on the Sandman show is just this occasional recurring character.
It'd be interesting, but I think the Sandman series took place in the 1930s, early 40s. So that would be kind of, Constantine could just walk through a door portal type thing,
I have a feeling we're going to see him in the Swamp Thing movie.
I would hope so.
James Gunn's going to be doing.
I would hope so. And, then there's still the rumor going on that, Keanu Reeves Constantine might still be happening.
It's not dead.
It's not dead yet. So I can definitely, talk about that till my face turns blue. So it's perfect. I would love to see, so many things like that. So, it would be kind of fun, if Green Arrow pops up, because I don't know if I want to see anyone other than Steven play Green Arrow, because, it's so ingrained in us type thing. So you have to see. So that is, you two people, thank you for hearing us ramble and rant and blah, blah, blah about DC and Shazam. It was interesting, to say the least. So I think we're going to close up the show now. So that's going to wrap up another episode of the Earth Station One podcast. Let's thank everybody for joining us. Chip, thank you as always, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Anything you want to shout out about, sir?
Just going to go ahead and shout out again for my wife. Her Instagram, My Crazy Nerdy Life. She's doing some really great stuff on there. Like I think I mentioned at the top of this, she's gotten into embroidery right now, and there's going to be some nerdy ones coming. I know we're working on a no Shazamming in the house one to hang up in here somewhere. So we're going to have some fun with that. Because I thought
so that's why the house kept on getting hit by lightning.
Yeah, that kept getting struck by lightning. Another good joke.
That was a good joke, actually.
Yep.
Awesome, sir. And Drew, do you want to read, because your partner was supposed to join us tonight. Do you want to read his review?
Yes, I'll give him his review. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to be on, but he still sent me his thoughts.
Uh-oh.
All right, here we go. Shazam! Fury of the Gods isn't quite as good as the first film, but brings the same fun and light energy. I was entertained the whole time and think it will play well on streaming and on TV. However, without a strong villain or connection to a larger story, it was doomed to be a box office bust. It's simply not the kind of movie that is going to bring people into the theater when they can wait 2 to 3 months to watch it at home. Black Adam should have been in this movie, and it's a shame we'll likely never see Levi Shazam interact with Black Adam. Asher Angel is clearly too old to play Billy, hence the significant lack of screen time and larger focus on Freddy. Overall, I rated a 7 out of 10. Anyone who goes to see this will have a good time, but a better villain and a tighter plot would have served the movie well.
Well
so
said.
There you go.
Well said.
Awesome. And of course, you can probably you'll hear more of Cletus's thoughts on the movie when we do our review of it here in a couple weeks.
Okay. And what podcast is that, sir?
That would be the Earth Station DCU.
Awesome. Check it out.
Where you can come and listen to us talk about DC news, comics, and of course, television shows and movies. So
awesome.
Oh, I don't want to forget, Cletus also wanted me to let you know about his Read More Comics shout out, which I'll probably give on our show also. But he wanted to shout out about Shazam Thundercrack. It's set between the two films, and it's a graphic novel that focuses on Billy trying to make the football team. So,
okay.
There you go. Thank you, sirs, and I appreciate it. Definitely worth checking out another show on the ESO Network. And Mr. Mike Gordon, we've made it through another one, my friend.
We did, and as always, it's my pleasure.
Anything you want to shout out about, sir?
Yeah, before I do want to shout out, I do have to. I was forgetful of one other thing I wanted to mention about the Shazam movie in our review. I thought it was awesome that there was a cameo by Michael Gray, who played Billy Batson in the 70s TV show. I thought
that was awesome.
Wearing the shirt and everything. I mean, I thought that was almost as cool as the Wonder Woman moment for me. So
was
I like
pretty
it.
cool.
I like it when they give shout outs to things that have come before. And I thought that was really fun. As far as my shout out goes, it is comic related as well. But it's not with DC, it's with Marvel. I got a new Marvel trade the other day called The Variants by Gail Simone and Phil Noto. This is a fun read. It's a Jessica Jones mystery, and I do like those. They were written by Bendis, and then oh man, we had her on the show. Kelly Thompson wrote some good ones too. This is the first time Gail's writing Jessica Jones, and Gail is in my opinion, a master at balancing like really dark issues, dark material with light humor and action. And that's the case with this one. She has a lot of fun, especially with variants. And I think variants are now the new like mutants or Inhumans in Marvel comic universe or whatever. Maybe even the MCU, really. So she has a really lot of fun with the variants, the various versions of Jessica Jones, and it was just a great read. So it's glad to see her. It's been a while since I've seen her write anything for comics. So I'm glad that she's doing it still, and she's doing it well.
That is awesome. That is awesome. My shout out real quick. Mr. Mike Gordon and I are going to be appearing at another Comic-Con. That's right. It has officially been announced. Both of us will be appearing at South Carolina Comic-Con. That is right. April 15th and 16th in beautiful Greenville, South Carolina. Thank you. Beautiful. To the fine folks at Borderlands Comics who put this wonderful convention on. And we are very happy to be coming. We'll both have tables there. Mike will have one for Tiki Zombie, and I will have one for ESO Network. And, you know, we never know who's going to be stopping by the tables. And we might actually even be doing some more stuff at the con. As it gets closer, we'll be able to tell you about that as it is. So pretty darn awesome, folks.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be great. South Carolina is one of my favorite cons of the year. So, you know, Robert and Michelle put on such a great show, and you know what? It's just fun. And I love Greenville. So it's definitely a great place to visit if you ever get a chance. So that's going to wrap up our show. Thank you for listening to the Earth Station One podcast. Always remember, we couldn't do this here without you. If you want to support, please check out our TeePublic store and check out some cool ESO Network swag. And the Darren Noel t-shirt is going to be going up this week up on our TeePublic store. So definitely check it out. And all you know, proceeds are going to be going to charity. So definitely check that out. It's Wonder Warrior Lives. Don't ever forget about that. So definitely check it out. Also, remember, if you want to listen to our show before the rest of the world, why not join the ESO Network Patreon? For as little as $1 a month, you could help support us here at Earth Station One. Check it out at www.patreon.com/ESO Network. We also want to hear from you. Please write us feedback at earthstation1.com. Remember, you could also find Earth Station One wherever fine podcasts are found. And now you could also find the Earth Station One podcast in video format up on YouTube. Please subscribe and tell all your friends about us. And also like and subscribe, like and subscribe, like and subscribe. It's the best way to find out about us. On behalf of myself, of course, Mr. Mike Faber, Mr. Mike Gordon, Mr. Drew Leiter, and Mr. Chip Johnson, thank you all for listening. We will see you here next time on Earth Station One. Hug your loved ones, have some fun. And spring is here, folks. It has sprung. Well, from some of us, you know, it's, you know, still snowing in a lot of part of the country right now. So definitely have fun with it. Peace. And we're done. Cheers. Bye. See ya.